Good morning, and thank you for joining How to Enhance the Customer Experience with Next Generation Product Information Management and AI with Lori Schaefer, CEO of Digital Wave Technology. As a reminder, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Now, here's your host, Deborah Weinswig, CEO and founder of Coresight Research.
Thanks so much, Mara. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm very excited to be here with my dear friend, Lori Schaefer. How often do we get to spend time, right, with our friends and talking about such an important topic, such as PIM and also product experience management, also known as PXM. I was originally on the board, gosh, I want to say 5 years ago of a PIM company. And right, the more that you got into the details, the more interesting it was. And that's how I feel about, digital wave technology from the moment Lori told me what she was doing till today. So we're going to cover several topics, and we'll do our best to do it quickly to leave time for your Q&A. So we want to talk about kind of in today's day and age, how do we look at, PIM and PXM, and what does it mean to be modern in that space? Secondly, how does this kind of modern day or next gen kind of platform really help accelerate speed to market, leverage different tools around automation, and really kind of the smarts around some of the heavy lifting. And then lastly, we hope to be able to cover today, when you kind of layer on this AI on top of PIM, what does that really do? And how does that, kind of really put you in front of new customers? So as we kind of look at, what we're doing and how we're doing it, we actually did an in-depth study with Digital Wave. So we want to talk about some of those results and, kind of what we're seeing and what we think is going to happen. And so, Lori, as you look here in terms of, thinking about this idea around modern day and where we have kind of gone from and where we are now, what has surprised you in terms of some of the tools and applications available? And what is that allowing your customers to do that they couldn't previously?
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Deb and Coresight, and most importantly, thank you to everyone who's joining the webinar. Really appreciate everybody learning more about product information management. And really what I'm here to talk about is far beyond that, with then being able to layer on artificial intelligence, which is really exciting. So Deb, you asked the question, what kind of new tools are out there? Well, first of all, modern day product information management systems really have not been around very long. We're talking maybe, 5-year time frame, if that.
I think right when I ended at the previous one, this began. That's why, this has been so interesting to see where we were and where we are, and then like what your clients are doing with this. I mean, I've really found it a very interesting learning journey, and have been really impressed with what you've done with the company.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, customers are doing a lot now, not just enriching product information and sending that out to the web, but we're talking now about, customers really getting into improving dropship, dramatically increasing sales and profitability through a number of areas, drastically reducing costs through artificial intelligence. Personalization is the next frontier, and so much more.
Would you have expected, with your kind of deep, rich background in technology, that there would be a solution like this that would be able to handle so much of personalization, which is such a key topic in boardrooms right now?
The answer to that is, I don't think any of us imagine how fast technology is changing. We named our company Digital Wave because we want our customers to always stay on top of surfing that current digital wave, and then be able to help them jump to the next wave when it's time. But these waves are coming faster and faster and faster. And so, could I have imagined it? Probably not. But now that we're immersed in it, we are immersed in all of the latest technology and looking at how to bring those applications to life for retailers and brands to better do their jobs.
So if you can kind of, once again, help me get to like the modern day, right? So I understood, right, from my past, right, how PIM was like the foundation for like enterprise data management and, this idea of communicating data from source to commerce channel and back. The new aspect here to me is on the AI side. How does that layer really change or, kind of really take PIM into this, next gen retailing, if you will?
Sure, it's a great question. And like you said, I mean, I like to think of, while PIM systems, and certainly the modern day packaged PIM systems, are very complex inside, basically they're the plumbing that you need. It could be PIM, and it could also be master data management, which we offer as well. It can be that underpinning of a place to pull all the data in from multiple systems with quick integrations, then be able to be that data store, if you will, for all that information, allow you to enrich that information, and then send that back out to various websites, marketplaces, social commerce, and also places like clienteling and back into other back office systems. So it's the basics, even though a lot of companies still are not even using PIM. But what's happened is technology's moved so fast that in the last really half of a year, we've looked at it and said, okay, now all of us have AI backgrounds at Digital Wave, and we said, look, let's apply artificial intelligence to dramatically improve speed to market, dramatically improve profitability, conversion rates, and so forth. And we are just at the beginning of that journey, but we are already doing some amazing things around, you hear about ChatGPT, for example, and, all of those sorts of types of AI that allow you to very quickly generate content. In our case, we've figured out how to do that for romance copy to really tell the product story in a very convincing way so that customer wants to buy it. Automatic attribution by looking at an image and being able to use neural networking to come up with those attributes, where humans in a PIM system still have to type all that in.
Oh, I know. I mean, that's why it's so, like I said, I know where we've been because I've been a part of it. It is amazing. Like you said, this is like 6 months new. I mean, and that is, I think to me what, as I'm listening to your words, right, you're not only talking about this kind of enrichment, but it's also not expensive.
No, and relative from an ROI perspective, when you look at we always go in with a business case and, give our customers the ability to put in their own numbers, if you will. And I mean, this kind of technology pays for itself in months. Yeah. I mean, I mean a few months, not a year.
So I remember we sat down at the last Shop Talk, and right, I still have it actually. I don't think I have it at my desk, but you gave me, which I love, this like laminated card. Oh, actually you didn't give it to me. I asked if I could take it because it was like that good. Because I think what you said that I hadn't heard anyone kind of phrase it quite like that is that, right, customers are in many different channels, right? They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on Facebook. I mean, not to call anyone specific, but right, they're broad. And when they get different messages in different channels that don't seem to align to the brand, right, it's then difficult for them, right, because they want to align their own values with the brand. And so this is kind of, when you talked about that, for me, it was like, all the bells and whistles went off, because I'm like, this is really, right, we've all experienced that. If you can solve just for that, that is a game changer, let alone everything else. Can you talk about, like, why is PIM important for expanding, enhancing the customer experience, but also what was your kind of aha moment? Because I feel like this has been a big one for you.
First of all, with respect to customer experience, I saw an opportunity. Obviously, I've been in retail tech and retail for way too long. And, I saw an opportunity that I said, okay, I've got to jump back into entrepreneurship because, with respect to, most people think of PIM as, again, plumbing, and it's not, that they're not thinking about it as, look, it's the underpinnings, if you will, but really what we're working on now is that, how do you really enhance the customer experience? And part of that is you've got to be able to tell that story. Every product has a story. Every product is, think of it, it's your brand. And then on top of that, each product has its own story. And you've got to match that story to the consumer's lifestyle so that the consumer can imagine how that product's going to be part of their lifestyle. And that's the kind of thing that, we're now doing with what we call product experience management. And, as part of the aha moment, I guess I always looked at it and said, I don't think anybody's, PIM companies typically are not the same players as merchants and marketers. And I'm coming at it and saying, oh my gosh, this is all about merchandising and marketing and giving the customers that great experience. And on top of that, you have to look at that certain channels, if you will. I hate to use that word, but think about if you're going to be on a customer journey and you're on a website, you need a whole lot of content. You need romance copy, you need descriptions, you need videos, images, etc. You go to TikTok, you need one video. You go to Instagram, you need one picture and maybe one statement. And this type of thing can automatically determine which parts of that product story go to which of the the various marketplaces or e-com or digital commerce channels.
Wow, that's amazing. We do have a question from Lauren, and please, we want to make this interactive. Just drop in the chat, and I'll ask Lori along the way. What does next generation PIM look like? So I think like maybe even making it a little more granular.
Next generation PIM, again, this is my opinion, and I think we're already on the cutting edges of next gen. It's all about customer experience, and it's going to be all about personalization. And you're only going to get to those two things quickly and be able to get the kind of benefits and results by adding artificial intelligence throughout PIM in various use cases, if you will. Because as I said, even with a PIM system, it's still very manual. It's sure as heck not like a spreadsheet. It greatly enhances, modern PIM, as I call it now, greatly enhances speed to market, and romance copy, all those sorts of things can be done faster. But when you look at that whole part of going to the next generation, it is all, I think it all has to be done through artificial intelligence. Some rules, if you will, that automate, but it's all automation. And from that, you're going to be able to get all of that data figured out much quicker, so that then you're going to be able to personalize that story, if you will, about that product to that consumer's lifestyle. That's what's exciting.
So the questions are pouring in, Lori. So we will get to the rest of the slides, but let's get these answered. How does PIM interact with supply chain? Good question.
Great question. Number of ways. Number one, I mean, I think of one of our large luxury retailers right now, that is, currently they're putting, they're connecting to their warehouse management system. You think about all the, a PIM is all things product. It doesn't necessarily start that way, but you think about, you should be able to adjust prices and instantly see the results. You should be able to, from a supply chain perspective, look at all those critical pieces, such as the dimensions of the item, the cube, how's it going to fit in, how's it going to be then transferred through the supply chain. Things like drop ship. PIM dramatically improves the ability to do drop ship. And from a perspective, we've got one customer, for example, that they've been able to, with 2 brands, because they can now get product through the whole process and out to market much faster, they've been able to improve their drop ship with these 2 vendors by over 50% in terms of new items. So think about what that does to your bottom line.
I can only imagine. All right. The next question is from Manish. If a company is, we actually talked about this, Lori. If a company is still in spreadsheets, can they still use AI as they move toward a proper PIM PXM system? Do you need a PIM system first? Also a good question.
It's a really good question. And, I like to think of getting to things in a good process. The answer is technically no. We can put AI right on top of a spreadsheet. We can take our AI that we use at Digital Wave, which is built in and interlaced throughout our PIM system, but it also was built and designed so it could sit on top of any other vendor's PIM system, or your in-house PIM system, or, I hate to say it, but God forbid, spreadsheets. Because I think if you're on spreadsheets, you ought to first at least get the basic PIM, or at least jump right into PIM with AI. But yes, it could be done that way.
I mean, one thing I always, or at least I'm a glass half full kind of person, right, is, in some cases, sometimes where folks haven't invested, right, they can almost like leapfrog, right, because they haven't necessarily, goes back to, the old PIM company I was involved with, we'll call it last generation. But, right, if you can then leapfrog to like a Digital Wave, right, technology, I mean, that seems to me to be, and as you talked about, there's a speed aspect here.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what's interesting. All right. Lots of questions for you, Lori. Okay. This is a long one. From Jenna: copy written or attributes applied via ChatGPT/AI copywriting tools, Jasper, Copy.ai, Hypertenuse, etc. What's your perspective on Google writing AI to detect and discount the SEO value of copy written by AI?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I've been asked that by a couple of customers. And, first of all, obviously Google, kind of got a little bit sideswiped with Microsoft announcing this, massive investment into ChatGPT, and Google has to respond, right? So I understand that that's something they have to do. I noticed that once, they first said that, and then secondly, they've come out with their own version of the equivalent of ChatGPT now. So to answer the question, I don't know that they're really going to be able to block it. However, it's really more about, it's ChatGPT today. I guarantee you in 6 months, it's not just ChatGPT. There's going to be all kinds of competitors out there. The important thing about what we do is, first of all, we do not limit ourselves to ChatGPT or GPT-3 or GPT-4 when it comes out. We can pop in any of those models, any of those types of artificial intelligence models, and be able to use those to auto-generate the copy. So I don't see that as a problem long term, and I question that it's even going to be any sort of a problem short term.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing in terms of thinking about this, how important, going back to, I love the romance copy, right? But getting that to the right person. I mean, it really is all about personalization, right? And I think there is a lot that, we can see from these next gen, kind of, if you will, AI tools and solutions. But ultimately, I think we do need kind of that layer from a PIM perspective in order to kind of get there faster and to deliver, kind of the right message to the right person at the right time, which has really been like, that's the holy grail of retail.
It absolutely is. Absolutely is. And, ChatGPT is one thing. Applying that in a specific use case around romance copy on a website is dramatically different. And, that's taking attribution, all sorts of things into that AI, artificial intelligent model that we have. And I don't see how Google's going to, be able to penetrate that with any sort of a threat.
Yeah, that's helpful. All right, this question is from Michael, and then we'll move on to the slide. Is generating product descriptions the most compelling application of AI at present? Where else can you leverage AI?
Great question. I don't think it's the most compelling, and I'll tell you why. Well, but by the way, it's a quick win. It is a very quick win. You can go from hours of time to write, romance copy for 1 or 2 products down to milliseconds, literally. And it's that good. So that it's a great first use case. But in the long run, we are also using AI in other areas. For example, as I mentioned, computer visioning, trying to figure out all the product attributes that you need is a very laborious process, and having to type those in and so forth. And so that's another area where we're able to automate those attributes, if you will. If you look at these red pumps here, we can say what heel height it is. We can say that they're red. We can say that they're patent leather, or we can say, a number of things about that shoe just from artificial intelligence. So that's another area. The really big areas, though, look at around inventory and inventory savings. We have another part of our artificial intelligence solution, and we have way more to go. We're just at the beginning of the journey. But another one, we call it the Not on Digital report. And we're able to look at the amount of dollars of inventory that are stuck throughout your workflow. For some reason, they haven't gotten out to market yet. They haven't gotten online. And we're able to very quickly pinpoint, okay, these categories have this much inventory and it's stuck, and you better fix it quickly, because that's how you get that inventory to market.
Can I ask a question around that? So, we had a holiday season where, maybe everyone's demand forecasting systems didn't work, but we have a lot of excess merchandise still in the system. Many retailers, it's funny, I haven't heard the word pack away for at least a decade, but I've heard that in many, many meetings recently. How do you think, right? So they're packing. So for those of you who aren't, right, they're packing away for next holiday season, or they'll drop it next October. How does it think about what's kind of in arrears, if you will?
You mean in terms of the AI piece?
Yeah. So from an inventory, you're talking about what's stuck. In some ways, this is like stuck, but kind of moved to the back of the line.
Yes, and it's a great question. And again, back to you really have to understand the business problem, and what you're describing there is that, speaking of linking into supply chain, is looking at where within the supply chain also that inventory is either stuck or we have too much of. And then in our case, we're already building applications that are on that same data store, that same architecture as PIM. For example, markdown optimization, we have it. And, you can look and say, okay, this much item is, these items are stuck. We either have to pack them up. What's the cost of that versus what's the, if we do a markdown model, what's that going to look like? And it instantly updates within PIM and vice versa. It's amazing kind of technology.
So there's something I've thought a lot about in the grocery space, right? Which is, different discounts cause different people to convert on different items. Right. So if I'm, kind of like moving through, right, and, the seltzers on sale or the crackers that, right, dynamic pricing truly, but delivered to me from a personalized perspective. How do you think about that, as you're looking at from a digital wave perspective, this idea around personalization by channel, but you're going to get different people to convert with different messaging, and then also with, even different images. Can you talk through that?
Sure. And again, infancy stages now, but if I, at the rate things are moving, this is within.
With you, Lori, always.
No, with the rate things are moving, this is going to be quickly on the horizon of that personalization. Like you said, it's different messages to different, it's also different messages to different people. So you look at PIM, and now you look at expanding that to master data management. You've got that customer data, and you have that product data. Again, underpinnings, if you will, which Digital Wave will offers those pieces. But then saying, okay, now let's look at those customers, and let's look at the website, and let's as one example, on the website, let's determine from what those customers' preferences are, to be able to hone in just on what those customers need, be able to offer them collections, be able to let them be able to picture through different videos how it might, how that may play again into their lifestyle.
So if we look at the slide and the data, which I think is phenomenal, you and I are data people, and so amazing. Yeah, if we can get a number around a problem, right, then we can solve it. But this idea around kind of incompleteness of information, the time that it takes, there are a lot of challenges for retailers around this. When you first kind of looked at the problem, what did you think that Digital Wave could solve? And then what, in addition, have you been able to, and what's on the horizon? And I know we've kind of talked about this, but I really want to just understand kind of like, where were you, where are you, and then like where you're going, and how does it kind of tie in to these pain points?
Okay, so to give you an idea of speed, and we have an incredible architecture and data, data team, if you will, and also data scientists. So that helps us. But it was just 1 year ago that we were excited about bringing modern PIM, if you will, into starting to do a lot more around the experience end, more videos, more images, being able to automate through rules to be able to do things faster. That was only a year ago.
Yeah.
And within the last year, we've added all this AI. We're adding applications on top, or things sitting integrated completely with product information management. And as far as again where we're going, you talk about personalization, that's one piece. Far more ability to integrate across the enterprise. in terms of supply chain, in terms of things like, even, looking at different areas that, search optimization, all those kind of things can come out of what we're doing today.
That's really interesting. And, and to move to the next slide, I want to ask you a question around how does PIM work with it? Well, it's actually a question from the audience from Susan. So Susan, I don't want to steal your question. But how does PIM work with just e-commerce?
How does it work with e-commerce?
Yep.
It's a great, modern PIM deals with e-commerce. Legacy PIM does not. Legacy PIM grew up before there was e-commerce. So what happened over the last, I'd say 5 to 7 years, if you will, that time frame, companies started popping up doing product information management, different ways, different types, but there's some very, large companies out there that built it to say, okay, we're going to take the product data from ERP, for example, from spreadsheets, from, perhaps some other sources, and then we're going to put it into the PIM system, enrich that product information, and push it out to e-commerce so that we don't have to go and do an e-commerce, which was developed completely separately than the old back office systems, and try to, in an e-commerce system, now you put all that data in there and guess what? Nobody else can ever use it. So, that's the basics of using PIM to connect to e-commerce. And then since then, we're connecting to many other digital channels and physical channels as well. So not sure how much further to go with that question.
No, that's super helpful. And this to me is like, show me the money slide, right? So
look at that. Everything's over greater than 5%. So, I mean, it's mind-boggling.
And I think that, an increase in customers, sales value, customer satisfaction, profitability. I mean, it's literally like check, 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 check. And, I think we have some kind of testimonial here from Tapestry, right? They saw a double-digit increase in conversion. So not only are you getting more customers in the funnel, but when you're seeing them also increase, their conversion at a higher rate. I mean, I don't know what more, people could ask. When you think about this, what number do you think should be higher if you do think there should be one?
You mean amongst the 4 on the chart?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first, customer satisfaction. I mean, they're all going to be a lot higher with PIM, a lot higher. I would have to say, I'd put it at, ultimately it's total sales and profit.
I mean, that's what it all, I mean, it's, to me these days, right? I think it goes to a point, right? It's around process and profitability, right? We're stick with the P's here, right? It's I like write down like 12 P words. We'll do the alliteration at the end, but I think that if we think about it, right, the profitability aspect here, and if we're just focusing on the bottom line, and ultimately, right, everything around customer experience is improving as well, and that I think is kind of really quite exciting. And I think the whole, right, I mean, I don't know why we haven't heard, maybe we used to hear all about surprise and delight the customer. I can't tell you the last time someone said that, Lori. And those are the things that like weigh on me, because ultimately, like, and that's something I feel you've always been very focused on. How does PIM do that, right? The surprise and the delight.
Okay, great question. So, first of all, the delight side, and you said surprise and delight?
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's first of all go to delight, and there's, plenty of ways that we're able to delight the customer, which we've talked about, which is, it's bringing that product to life in the customer's mind so they can envision how that product's going to work within their lifestyle. So, all these new videos, being able to use PIM with even, video shopping, for example, being able to look at various lifestyle videos along with images of the product from many different angles, along with very compelling romance copy that allows that customer to imagine a story about that product. So that's the delight side. And secondly, it's also for basic products. We often forget, all too often we don't put enough information out there. So the customer can't make a good buying decision. And when you're able to have all the critical data about that product, on the website or on a store shelf or on social media, wherever it is, you want to make sure that customer has what they need to make that decision and not have to return the product. I mean, returns are 30% because customers can't find the right information.
Lori, you're like literally putting salt in my open wound on, there are different experiences that I've had that I never expected, right? We're literally at like midnight. I'm like taking photos of product, uploading it to clients' websites, typing in product attributions. So you have no idea, and I won't tell you all the woes, but I do think it's interesting. I mean, yes, returns are, if you think about sustainability, the greatest thing that we can all do as a retail community is reduce returns.
Absolutely.
And it improves profitability. And so anything, in my opinion, that gets us one step closer, even just taking that down, right, 100 basis points, that is tremendous. And
the bottom line, and also significant, as you say, to sustainability. And we have all kind of ways we address sustainability. I won't go into that now, but.
So I think the one thing that I just want to hit on this slide, and we've got one more, and thank you everyone for staying with us beyond 30 minutes. But the 52% who are using PIM to personalize product content across channels is still behind master data management at 55% and integration with enterprise systems at 55%. Does that surprise you?
No. And the reason is because to be able to personalize, I mean, like I say, PIM systems still have a lot of data entry. It dramatically improves from the way of using spreadsheets and old legacy systems, but modern PIM systems still have a lot of manual data entry. To get to personalization, you've got to automate everything, because now you're having to look at all, think about a math problem, and now you've got to not just look at everything about a product, but how that product meets the consumer. So the multiplication effect, is very high. So that automation has to come into place. A lot of companies have master data management systems that all they do, though, is they keep the data there. They don't bring it to life and, to solve all of these more compelling problems like personalization. So no, it doesn't surprise me at all.
And, as we're thinking and we're concluding on the slide, as we're moving from kind of PIM to PXM, what is the kind of, if you will, what is the key ingredient for a retailer or brand to make that move?
First of all, having the basic plumbing, as I call it, you have to first invest in a PIM system, a modern PIM system. I can't say that strongly enough. You have to do that piece. Perhaps the whole leapfrogging effect, you can get a system that already has built-in AI as well. So that's going to, dramatically improve how fast you can get to that experience management, if you will, versus information management. So that basic plumbing, and then to really get to that experience management, you have to automate a lot of things that are done manually. Some PIM systems, modern PIM systems, nearly all of them still use, rules to say, okay, these products must go to these certain areas. And Digital Wave does that as well. But now with the introduction of artificial intelligence in many different use cases, that's the next step to get to true product experience management.
So we have two quick questions and then we'll conclude from the audience. So thank you. So first of all, from Felicity, how does this tie into a loyalty program gamification?
A loyalty program and gamification?
Or gamification, like the idea that you're gamifying people to be more loyal.
Oh, okay. So, first of all, I think and I need to understand more about, what you have in terms of gamification, Felicity, but from a standpoint of loyalty and so forth, when you're able to apply that customer data and understand their loyalty alongside that product, deep, rich product content, and then, using artificial intelligence to marry those two, I think that's where you're going to be able to get a lot more, oomph, if you will, to push it back in to the gamification.
So Lori, let's conclude with this in terms of, the when you're talking to customers, what are the greatest pain points that they're trying to solve for? So what are they actually coming to you for? And then what at Digital Wave are you saying, hey, not only can we solve these pain points, but we can also do this?
Okay. Wow, there's a lot in it. So let me just start out by saying, people first come for, inconsistencies, lack of governance, lack of security. They don't have one version of the truth. Those are the basics that people first say they need. Very quickly, though, what happens is we're able to, as I've mentioned, dramatically improve speed to market. We have customers, even without AI, that improve speed to market, by 50%. With AI, we're talking improving speed to market sometimes up to 98%. So, and we're just now scratching the surface of that. So speed to market's one. Increased conversions is a huge one. And again, we have customer, take a $1 billion customer that they're able to, using Digital Wave, be able to improve conversion rates, to the tune of, adding 15, 20, 30, $40 million to their bottom line like that. So that's another typical use case. Another one, which we're hearing a lot about now, is using Digital Wave or PIM systems to be able to dramatically improve their dropship capabilities, which again goes back to improving sales and profitability, reducing returns, and the list goes on and on. That's why we put together at Digital Wave an ROI calculator, if you will, because there's so many places to go. And I have not mentioned efficiency, and I have to say that. You think about when you take a romance copy and you improve the time of writing it by 99%, and you take being able to do auto attribution and so many other things. We have a customer just with basic PIM that was able to reduce their staff by 25%, move them on to more places they can use their brain, if you will. And so they reduced staff by 25%, and yet they got more done. So that was just with PIM. Put AI on that, and again, your reductions that you're able to make in terms of, staff and other kinds of efficiencies, are very high. And in an economy like this, we can go after and pinpoint and right away, like I said, make the system pay for itself in a matter of AI, literally a matter of weeks. It could be implemented in 2 weeks, in some cases. And secondly, the results that we're talking about can pay for themselves in months.
Well, if you think about it, it's actually one of the things that, as I've been listening to you, I've really thought quite a bit about is, there's still turnover in this day and age. And if we as retailers want to get the best talent and to retain them, we have to increase their responsibilities, but also kind of increase their opportunity to contribute to the organization. And to me, that was actually like my, kind of my big takeaway from this, because, if we're able to kind of change the nature of their jobs, if they actually feel like they're contributing to a more sustainable company, they're also getting a lot more job satisfaction. So I think we have to play the P game. So PIM is not plumbing, personalization, product, process, profitability. I'm sure there are others. I used to love to play this game. I don't know, it's like me nerding out, but I used to love to play like the alliteration game with. So this was Lori. I learned so much, and I am once again a steward of this topic. And I think you've done an unbelievable job. I can't say enough in terms of where you've taken this. I love it. I love the fire in the belly. So thank you everyone for joining us. We're sorry we went over 30 minutes, but with Lori, that was hard for me. So, because I always enjoy, talking to you so much.
Awesome. You're awesome. It's a pleasure and an honor to be speaking with you again.
This was great. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, audience.
Thanks, everyone.